Police officer who has killed somebody in Kangware and there's pressure, the government is also worried or embarrassed, they go and investigate and prosecute that one. But killings such as what is going on today during protests, we have never had IPOA prosecute officers for killings during protests because those are state-sanctioned killings. So in 2017, there were over 100 cases we documented. I think there were more, but we documented 104. IPOA has focused on two, Baby Pendo and Stephanie Mora, cherry-picking what they can prosecute because these are low-hanging fruits, but they don't go to the bottom, the root cause or the root cause of the problem. So out of 100 plus, they picked two, and they never even successfully prosecuted. People are having to go and prosecute them on their own. Between 2014 and 2015, there were over 100 people who had disappeared in Nairobi, Northeastern, Coast region. We presented these cases to IPOA. To this day, they have never prosecuted any. In 2020, during Corona, there were over 20 cases. I don't know how many have been prosecuted. Last year, there were over 70. They promised to take people to court. I think by October, they were saying they're going to court. Nobody has been prosecuted. This one is going to go the same way. So even if IPOA, in fact, their behavior this time has been more strange because before then, we used to communicate with them, we used to know what they're doing. Right now, they have shut their doors. They don't want to say what they're doing. We need to start calling out IPOA. Police are refusing to do their bit. So the National Police Service Act of 2011 says that police, as 2012, I think, police are supposed to, once there's a killing, police are supposed to do preliminary investigations. The commander is supposed to share details of that investigation with IPOA, with the Inspector General. Then IPOA picks up from there to start investigation. That preliminary investigation never happens. So IPOA has to start struggling to understand which police officer shot, what happened, what were the circumstances of the shooting. That should have been in the preliminary report. And then the second thing is that when killings happen in a setting like what we have today, the demonstrations and the protests, what is supposed to guide IPOA in investigating those cases is what is called the operational order, which is basically says which police were deployed where and which orders were they given. And then the second one is what is called the Register of Movement of Arms and Ammunition, which basically gives you now, narrows down when somebody is killed to understand who had which ammunition, who had which gun, and who was where. So when the investigations come, like in Kisumu, a lot of the killings that happened in 2017, police refused to hand over the Register of Movement of Arms and Ammunition. Police refused to hand over the operational order. So it became impossible to understand who shot where. But they're covering themselves up. But they only do that because of lack of political will. What they're doing is political. It's a political order to kill. So what's the problem there? It is lack of police independence. And it takes us back to the struggle of the second struggle, which was to ensure we have an independent police authority. And then the other is the issue of the new trend that we have seen from 2017 is the role of the hospitals and mortuaries. So in the past, you would go to a hospital and a mortuary, and quickly you get the register and get to know who has been brought in, who was shot, who was killed. And then you get to know their names and you get to know their injuries. Today, what they are doing is that they have created two registers. And that's why I was cautioning our colleagues in Githurai, don't say you have only 2 or 3 killings, because you don't know the killings. Or we went to Kenyatta Hospital and we found 3 bodies. You need to do more to understand how many people have been killed. Right now I'm hearing people say 50 people have been killed. It's not 50. You don't know. Because what's happening in mortuaries is that they cleared 2 registers. So the front one is the normal one, where they put like 3 or 4 cases. So when you go to look for people who have been killed, they show you that one. But there's another police register where they have all the other bodies. So after 25th, the invasion of Parliament, at City Mortuary, they had 6 bodies. And we're wondering, but how can they be 6 when even at Parliament alone, we know that at least 8 were killed? And they refused. They just said 6. Later on, we came back and talked to the staff, and we realized there were other bodies being hidden elsewhere which were not in the register. And that is happening not just there. We saw it in Kisumu in 2017. They hide those bodies, and they make sure you never get to know what exactly happened. We also know that sometimes they don't take those bodies to the mortuaries. In Kisumu, we discovered bodies, I think bodies were discovered in Lake Victoria, around 26 bodies, 3 or 4 months later, after we had looked for bodies in JHRH, in Kisumu District Hospital, everywhere. There were no bodies, but they had been thrown elsewhere. Even this one, let us be very careful because we don't know where those bodies are.